What is up, everybody? We have a fight night to discuss. Derek Lewis, Sergey Spivac. Guys, I'm going to break it all down. Got some news, got some announcements. Guys, stay tuned. 30 seconds away.
That is a which is fun, but you got to be ready for that. But it's no
And welcome back to another episode of Fist First. Guys, as always, I'm your host, Steve, and we are streaming here on DSM Media's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. As always, guys, please do not forget to hit that like, follow, subscribe button, whatever platform you guys are on. That would do us much pleasure. Thank you. So, Derek Lewis, Sergey Spivac fight night. It was a late one. To be honest, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I didn't make it. I fell asleep. I couldn't do it. I watched the replays. I turned it on ESPN Plus the day after. See what I missed. And I was kind of happy that I didn't stay up, to be honest. But before I get into all that, got a few announcements, got some UFC news to share. Cheeto Vera, Corey Sandhagen, a fight that a lot of people have anticipated, a fight that I'm super excited for. Originally slated for February 18th, just a few weeks away, is now taking place March 25th. Now, as much as that sucks to hear it gets pushed back, it's going to be worth the wait now. They're now the main event for that UFC fight night in San Antonio. It's going to be a sold-out arena. These guys deserve to be fighting in front of fans, not at the UFC Apex. This makes that card, this makes that fight just that much more exciting, and it's only being pushed back about a month. Cannot wait for March 25th now. Now, some news that I've been talking about quite frequently now. The next season of The Ultimate Fighter, right? We had Conor McGregor as confirmed to be one of the coaches on this season of Tough. And we were wondering, is it going to be Ferguson? Is it going to be Masvidal? Is it going to be Michael Chandler? Who is going to be coaching opposite of Conor McGregor? And it is none other than Michael Chandler. Now, with that being said, both Tough coaches are scheduled to fight each other at the end of this year. So not only does this confirm the Tough coaches, the next season of The Ultimate Fighter, this also confirms a fight that we're going to see later this year. Conor McGregor, in his return, taking on Michael Chandler. McGregor is a guy that Chandler has been talking about for a while. He finally gets his wish. That's an exciting fight. And that's going to be a very tough fight for both of these guys. I cannot wait till that gets closer. I cannot wait to preview that fight. But with that being said, Conor McGregor still has yet to take and or pass his first drug test. Now the USADA requires a test, a negative test, then a 6-month period. And after that 6-month period, another negative test. He has yet to take the first test. So we will see if that fight has to get pushed back until next year. We will see what's going to go on with McGregor and his doping tests. I'm very curious for that. I'm actually really excited to see what happens with that. So the Ultimate Fighter news, huge news, probably the biggest news of this week, this weekend, the last few days, the biggest piece of news I can share with you guys. Now, a little bit of smaller news before I move on to the fight night itself. Colby Covington, Bilal Muhammad, that fight is gaining a little bit of steam. It's not confirmed yet. The UFC is looking to have them as the Ultimate Fighter coaches for the following season of this McGregor Chandler season. That is going to be interesting if that happens. That's a fight that kind of curious about. A lot of people want Colby Covington and Hamzat Chimaev. It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. Hamzat's moving up to middleweight. It ain't happening. Colby Covington, Bilal Muhammad, sorry, is the fight that's probably going to happen. If they don't even if they don't coach the Ultimate Fighter, that's a fight that's probably going to happen. Aljamain Sterling, Henry Cejudo, another fight that I've been talking about. Uh, that's looking like a May date now. The UFC's looking at May for that fight to happen. Aljamain Sterling also just came out and said that if he wins, probably even if he loses, he's going to move up to 145. He said there's nobody in that bantamweight that can compete with him. I think that's bullshit. I think that's a cocky thing to say. I don't think he's that great of a champ. I don't think he's that great of a fighter. But Aljamain Sterling, Henry Cejudo is looking at a May date now. And after that announcement, Aljo comes out and says that nobody else can take him on. He's moving up to 145 after this fight. Another piece of interesting news here. Nate Diaz's agent comes out and says that he wants to fight Canelo Alvarez. Ain't going to happen, Nate. You ain't going to win that fight. I love Nate Diaz. I'm his biggest fan. He ain't going to win that fight. And nothing circulating with Nate Diaz recently. No announcements to any signed organizations. Nothing with that Pro Fighters Incorporated or whatever he was going to make. No news about that. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on Nate Diaz for the next couple weeks. See what he plans on doing. Now I got to break down this fight night that just passed this Saturday, but we are just a few days out of UFC 284. My most anticipated fight of the year, Alexander Volkanovski, Islam Makhachev. Number one, pound for pound. Number two, pound for pound. I'm going to break that down on Wednesday. But one thing I want to say before I even move forward is, where is the hype for this fight? Dana White in a press conference couldn't even remember Islam Makhachev's name. Where is the hype for this fight? It's literally the number one pound for pound guy taking on the number two pound for pound guy, and it's getting no buzz. It's kind of, I think it's kind of a slap in the face to all these fighters, slap in the face to fans. To be honest, being a huge Volkanovski fan, it's a kind of a slap in the face that he's not getting any hype either in this fight. But like I said, I'm going to be breaking down UFC 284, previewing that all Wednesday for you guys. We might even have Slav back on the show to help me do that. Now, this past Saturday, UFC Fight Night, Lewis Spivac in the prelims. You had some road to the UFC finals. Now, like I said last show, road to the UFC is based on Asian fighters on the other side of the world vying for their chance to win a UFC contract. And I want to say congratulations to the 4 fighters that won their respective finals, that earned UFC contracts, who put on some good showings to us fans. And I'm going to start out with the very first one, that flyweight division road to UFC finals. Congrats to Hyun Sung Park on his victory in that flyweight division. He is now on the UFC roster. He beat Sung Guk Choi. Sorry if I butcher these names. And this was the first out of the 4 fights in the road to the UFC finals flyweight bout. The UFC needs some flyweight talent pretty desperately, in my opinion. Man, like I said, congrats to Hyun Sung Park. I don't think he's the talent that the UFC's looking for. I don't think Sung Guk Choi was either. This was a pretty mediocre fight. You could see that these guys I don't think either of these guys would have, would have made a career for themselves in the UFC. But you never know. Park is on the roster now, so we'll see. I mean, he didn't really impress me that much, but he did get the win. So we will see what's in store for the flyweight Hyun Sung Park. Now, moving on to a fight that I think, not only a fight, but a fighter that really, I think, wowed a lot of UFC fans. He wowed me. and that's Rinya Nakamura in the bantamweight road to the UFC finals, getting his win via knockout. I think it was less than 30 seconds. Um, I mean, Rinya Nakamura has hands of stone. This dude throws absolute bombs, power. And man, I say it time and time again. That bantamweight division, guys. That bantamweight division is absolutely stacked. It's getting yet another showstopper, momentum stealer, a threat, if you will. Rinya Nakamura earned his UFC contract. That dude's got a career in front of him. He's going to be dangerous. Keep loading up this bantamweight division because this has to be the best, most exciting division, in my opinion, in the UFC. Like this, I just don't think that this weight class can become more stacked. But we will see what's in store for Rinya Nakamura. I can't wait for his first official fight to be announced against who. I'm. This is a prospect that I'm really keeping my eye on. Moving on to the featherweight, and this featherweight decision, I'm actually going to pull up the stats here because this fight, I just didn't like this decision. All right. ESPN Fight Center, really great for stats. Quick looks at fights. I'm going to zoom in here. So we had on the left, we had your winner, Jung Young Lee.
What's up, Einstein?
Taking on.
has gone kaput.
You tried to save a buck on it.
Not so smart.
Well, there is a smarter way to save.
Oh.
Switch to
We
Verizon.
got an
That's
advertisement
right. For a
here.
limited time, get Verizon Unlimited for just $25 a line, guaranteed for 3 years. Brilliant! Only on Verizon.
Keep working. Size, the knees on the ground.
Keep working.
Side, side.
Gotta love advertisements. Jung Young Lee taking on Zai. This fight ends in split decision. I didn't really know much about these guys coming into this fight. Jung Young Lee wanted to be the Asian Conor McGregor. He's calling out the entire weight class, the whole featherweight division. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And I'm not a guy who takes control time too much into consideration. But when you look at these stats and you see that the dude who threw one more significant strike but got dominated on the ground won via split decision. One judge scored this fight 30-27 for Yi. So one judge had Yi winning all 3 rounds. But the other 2 judges scored this 29-28 for Lee. I don't get this. I didn't get this fight. A lot of people had argued that that Yi just didn't do enough on the ground. And I get that. I get that. That's why I don't think ground control should be taken too much into consideration. But Lee on the ground didn't do anything to counter anything. He kind of just sat there and let Yi control the fight. This was an awful decision. I hope Yi gets his contract because he deserved it. This was a terrible decision. And for Jung Young Lee to come out and call out the entire weight class after pretty much getting dominated in this fight and just earning his UFC contract off of some bullshit, it blows my mind. Jung Young Lee, you're not going to last long in the UFC. You already have a hater. I promise you, this guy ain't going nowhere. Because in my opinion, I think he got dominated in this fight. Anyway. That fight really pissed me off, and I don't even know these guys. I just hate this. I hate seeing decisions like that. I hate seeing a guy's dreams after practically winning a fight get crushed because of some BS call on the judge's part. And this has been happening so much with the UFC lately, and it's really been infuriating me. It really started with the Paddy Pimblett fight. Jared Gordon not getting that win because it went to the judges. It's getting to the point where these UFC fights cannot go to the judges. If you want to win a fight, you cannot let the judges control the fate of the fight. it's getting to that point. The UFC needs to get this under wrap because it's really starting to piss fans off, I think. It's really starting to piss me off. But anyway, Jung Young Lee, welcome to the UFC. Ain't going anywhere. Don't be calling out the division. All right. That was the third of the 4 fights of the road to the UFC finals. So we get to the last fight here. Serengi taking on Anshul Jubli. This was a great fight. This was a inspirational fight. Anshul Jubli gets this win here. Anshul Jubli, the guy from India. He wants to be the Indian Michael Bisping. He wants to get India on the map. He is the first Indian-born UFC fighter to win inside of the octagon. I think he's only the second Indian UFC fighter ever on the roster. He gets a win in the octagon, into the road to UFC finals. He earns his contract. I'm sure the Indian community cannot be more proud of this guy. He very talented. I was very impressed with what I saw. This is my first time I've ever seen him fight. Great groundwork, great striking, just a very exciting guy to add to this lightweight division. I cannot wait to see what's next for him. This is probably my other prospect out of these 4 winners that I'm really looking forward to. Really looking to see what's next for these guys. Like I said, the first one being Rinya Nakamura in that bantamweight division. Now we got Anshul Jubli in that lightweight division. I can't wait to see what's next for these 2 guys. They both earned it very well. They both deserve this. And congratulations to all Road to the UFC Finals winners. Now, that was all the prelim action. And those are all the fights that I was able to stay up for. I was not able to stay up for any of these main cards. But like I said, I did end up watching them Sunday morning. And I will get into the first fight here. We'll start out. Kinoshita taking on Fugit. I'm going to pull up the stats here. Why not? This was a surprising fight. I'm not going to lie. This was a very surprising fight. Fugit looked good. He looked really, really good. Getting a knockout via elbows in 4 minutes and 36 seconds into round 1. Looked pretty dominant in the striking game. He had 2 minutes 53 seconds of ground control. I mean, a pretty dominated fight. Barely took any damage, as you could see on the right-hand side there. Great win for Fugit. This was one that I did not predict. I thought Kinoshita was going to win this one. He did not. Congrats to Fugit on getting his victory. Now, moving on to the one that has been disputed by Dana White himself. Du Man Choi taking on Kyle Nelson here. Again, a fight that goes to the judges and just ends in complete disaster. Duo Choi deserved this win. He got a point deduction. It was a BS call. Dana White came out. He even said it was BS. He gave Duho Choi his full fight payout if he got a win. And as you can see, just looking at these stats here, he dominated the fight. Barely took any damage. Gave it to Kyle Nelson. I mean, what after what I think it was 3 years off of the UFC. What a performance by Duho. He deserved the win. But he is back. Duho Choi is back. And I think this fight really proved it. So can't wait to see what's next for him because I think he's ready to go. He's back. He's ready to make a run. Duho Choi didn't get the win. Didn't get the loss. Majority draw. So let's move on here to the heavyweight fight that, I mean, I'm sorry for Tybura fans. I'm sorry for Ivanov fans. This was a fight that I saw being an absolute snooze fest going into it. I hate I hate heavyweights that just use the ground game too much. I'm not a Tybura hater. I don't dislike Tybura. And on Wednesday, I'm curious to see where he's going to be in the updated rankings in the heavyweight division. Ivanov's probably going to be unranked after that fight. But this fight, in my opinion, yeah, Ivanov landed a few good hits. It just, in my opinion, though, Tybura looked for the ground game as an escape. And when when a heavyweight has that capability, he can be dominant. Because heavyweights don't really have that skill set, locked in truly. Heavyweights that can take fights to the ground usually have the upper hand, and that's what you saw here. To be honest, I think it was a snooze fest. But nonetheless, congrats to Tybura getting his win. Can't wait to see where he is ranked on Wednesday when I go over all of our updated rankings for the UFC. Another surprise here. Now, this is your main card, co-main event. Da Jung taking on Devin Clark. Devin Clark, the guy who is looking to get back on the win table. And Da Jung, who is looking to continue his dominance in the UFC, but he ends up getting dominated by the man with nothing to lose, Devin Clark. This fight, in my opinion, it wasn't even close. This wasn't even a close fight. A very impressive performance by Devin Clark, a guy who I thought might have been down and out, but a very, very, very impressive performance to slow down the hype train on Da Jung. And that wraps it up for all of your Asian, uh, Asian fighters. Again, this was the fight card that was supposed to be in South Korea. That's why it was heavily represented here, which is awesome for the UFC to do. And congratulations, like I said, congratulations to all the Asian fighters getting their victories or getting a contract to the UFC. What a performance, what a fight night you guys put on. So that is going to do that for that. I am going to move into the main event here now. And I'm going to take the stats out because I'm not going to lie, guys. The stats are kind of sad to look at. Derek Lewis taking on Sergey Spivac. Derek Lewis, the guy who got knocked out by another guy named Sergey in 55 seconds in his last fight. He takes on Sergey number 2. Derek Lewis lasts a little longer this time. There you go. I didn't want to do it. He lasts 3 minutes and 5 seconds this time. Round 1. But here's the part that's even more disappointing. Now, I'm actually curious. I do want to go back to this now. I probably should have looked this up before the show, but Derek Lewis gets pummeled. Derek Lewis gets dominated in this fight. This fight lasts for 3 minutes. He only threw 3 punches, 3 strikes, and didn't land a single one of them. No time of control. Spivac took him down 6 times in 3 minutes with a total control time of 2 minutes and 32 seconds. See, this is where that ground game skill set in the heavyweight division really comes to play. And after watching that fight, it all but confirmed, to me at least, that this was a fight that the UFC just really set Derek Lewis up to lose. I thought Derek Lewis was coming in here with a chip on his shoulder. I thought he was. But he gets dominated. I believe that's now a 4-fight losing skid for Derek Lewis. Dana White does come out and say that his roster spot is safe. We probably won't see him in the heavyweight division. I don't know where he's going to fall in the rankings after this. He might still be ranked. I don't know where he's going to fall, though. But I did mention my last show, he's looking at a potential light heavyweight run. So we'll see, man. I feel for the guy. I really do. I mean, this guy has accomplished so much in his UFC career, and I'm not taking anything away from Sergey Spivak. That was an amazing performance, a dominating performance by Sergey Spivak. He's probably going to be ranked in the top, probably close to the top 5 at this point. He's a guy. He's a man on a mission. He's got a lot of potential to make a solid run for the title. But man, do I feel for Derek Lewis. This was a fight that, like I said, that the UFC really, really set him up to lose. Now, before I end my time here, we'll take a look here. Now, these were the fights that I picked last week for my best bets, and I didn't place this, mind you. I should have. If you parlayed these, your parlay would have hit with a push because the Duho Choi fight ended in a majority draw. So you would have won the parlay of Tybura and Spivac. If you guys bet these all solo, you would have pushed Duho Choi, won Tybura, Spivac. So hey, let's go. That's a great betting prediction. Hopefully I can keep that going for this upcoming Saturday because I am throwing money this upcoming Saturday. It's a pay-per-view. A very anticipated pay-per-view of mine. So I will hopefully have money in my DraftKings account, and I hopefully will be betting on this upcoming Saturday. And like I said, I cannot wait for Wednesday. Guys, please come back Wednesday night. We have a majorly fun UFC pay-per-view to discuss. I'm going to be hype. It's my most anticipated. But as always, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. Each episode, each week, I can't explain how much I appreciate support. Thank you to DSM as always. And like I said, guys, please do not forget to hit that like, follow, subscribe button, whatever platform you guys are on. That would be much, much appreciated. Guys, have a great